Last time they ripped us off, so let's try this. So the brand new person is going to turn to your sponsor right now and just ask this simple question. Like I said, if this is getting too direct at any moment, let me know. But the brand new person is going to say, thank you, sponsor, for giving my job description, give people make a decision so I didn't waste my time doing all this other stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So sponsor, please tell me exactly how humans make the final decision inside of their head. I know they don't make it inside their foot. Please tell me how people make the final decision inside of their head, how that light switch is turned on or off, yes or no, so I can do my job. Would that be a fair request? In other words, do they make the final decision based upon rolling some dice in their head, or giant Ouija board, or wait for lightning to strike them to make up their mind, or little voices talking there? Or is it some sort of hormonal flare-up? Or some sort of emotional thing going on up there? Or it's 15,000 reasons for and 13,000 reasons against? Is it to avoid pain and get pleasure? Sponsor, please tell me exactly how the human mind processes and makes the final decision so I can do my job. Seem like a fair request? So turn to your sponsor who's promised to help you right now and have them explain to you in 3 or 4 sentences. Let's get this over with. Let's begin.
I don't know. Do you have to ask me or do you have to ask
Or as a business?
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, I don't. Oops. I'm losing the video. Yeah, I'm not sure what we have to do something and there was one call and I didn't know he ate it.
That shouldn't have taken long, right? We're rocking. Number one, how many people here got a really good answer how the human mind processes and makes the final decision? All right, let me review. You and I have chosen a profession, which is to get the information inside of our head, inside of their head, right? And all we have to do is take the information inside of our head and get it past their salesman alarm. They're too good to be true filter. But what's the catch barrier? Past their prejudices, past their biases, you have relatives, right? Past their dysfunctional program, past all their negativity, past all their bad experiences. And then move it up through the subconscious mind and talk to specific programs in the subconscious mind to activate it with special sequences of words to activate a yes decision or fail. That's what we've chosen to do. How many people here learned this skill in your previous profession? No. Now, is it our fault we don't know this? Of course not. Nobody expects us to know every skill of every profession in the universe, right? Nobody expects you to know how to drive a car before you take your first driving lesson. So if you don't know how to do it, let's consider why. Did they teach you this in school? Previous job? Parents? No. So when you and I get started, we're normally highly motivated idiots. We say and do the wrong things. But it is our fault if we decide to do this as a profession and refuse to learn how to do this. It's not your fault you don't know how to drive, but if you want to drive and get away from mom and dad and refuse to take any driving lessons, then it's your fault, isn't it? So how many people here would like to kind of suck it up and say, let's be an adult about this, let's start learning exactly what we have to do to make this happen? Because if we don't, let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to ruin a lot of people's lives. Because you presented the product in the wrong way, they're not going to use it. Or the opportunity in the wrong way, they're not going to have the opportunities they want. So unless we start getting pro about this instead of just random, useless, untrained words, we're going to hurt a lot of people. So are you all okay with going down this route very directly? All right, so we're not doing very good on these tests here. Can I give you one more?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see how this one goes. we need to focus on what has to happen here. How many people here have ever seen a television commercial? In 15 seconds, the commercial's over, and they sell some stuff, don't they? People do buy, or else they wouldn't run these commercials, because they're pretty expensive. People that do these commercials are highly trained, skilled people that get people to make a decision in 15 seconds. We, on the other hand, totally untrained, using random made-up words, in 40 minutes' time, we all see where we're going here, right? Now, this is our competition. They're doing this business commercially. We can't do it as a hobby. We have to do it commercially like they do if we're going to make any kind of success and impact people. If you're going to build a big team so you can impact a lot of people, you've got to start doing it commercially. Which means you've got to at least want to master the first 17 skills on ways of talking to people in cool ways. So I'm going to do, you do realize how long is people's attention span nowadays? 17. Well, maybe not that long, but that's pretty good. So we're going to do a little experiment here. When you talk to people, you have to give them a presentation, you have to close them, you have to use icebreakers, you got to build reports. There's a lot of things that have to happen. From the hi, how are you, all the way down to close. Is that true? So, shall we see how good we are as a starting point? I'm going to ask the brilliant, smart sponsor. You're going to turn to your good-looking partner. And you're going to pretend they're a prospect. And you're going to take it from hi, how are you, how's the weather, to introduce your business, talk, give a presentation. You're going to close them, build rapport, use the icebreakers, the whole works. And we're not going to give you 15 seconds because that'd be unfair. We're going to give you 17 seconds, give you a little extra time. All right? So are you all ready? I want you to give it your very best shot. Can y'all do that? Just for a starting point, give it your very best shot. We're going to give you 17 seconds, beginning to end, all the way. Are you ready? Get set, go.
Hi, my name is Vlada, and I'm going to introduce you to a business that you can earn some money, and you can make a decision if you would like to be more healthy or not. I'm done.
All right, time's up. That was awesome. How'd we do? Everybody got your presentation in? Got your report? All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how'd that work out? I got it, John. Let me ask all the people that were the prospects, the good-looking people, what'd you think? Pretty pathetic, huh? Yeah. So now it's your turn. All right, so for all the good-looking partners, we're going to give you 17 seconds if you give it your best shot. Get on your marks, get set, go.
It's your turn. I'll try to sell me young living products.
Okay.
Don't know even your name.
How many people here like to do better? Because if you're going to give a 40-minute presentation to somebody, there's not enough time in the day to build a business, is there? No possible way you can do it. So tonight we're going to learn a cool high-level ninja skill so we can shorten this time down. Would that be nice? Yeah. And I thought we'd learn a different skill than what we taught over in Minneapolis, because some of you probably learned quite a bit about that already. So are you all ready to go to work? Yeah. I'm going to ask you to write down 4 things. If you were to take the 25 skills and you're boiling them down to say, what happens when you and I encounter a live human being? We don't need all the skills, but if you just boil them down, what 4 things have to happen in the encounter in our business? So, number 1, write down the word presentation. We'll have to do some sort of presentation, right? I mean, how long can you keep the business a secret? They're on auto ship for 6 months. Well. Right. Number 2, in the encounter, you'll have to close, right? Because if you don't close, nobody makes it fun. Number 3, you'll have to do some sort of icebreaker. For those that are not familiar with the icebreaker skill, there's hundreds of different icebreakers, but what an icebreaker basically does is take the conversation from, hi, how are you, how's the weather, to, want to be a distributor. And how you transition that could make a difference if you're going to be rejected and made fun of. So if you're out there saying, hi, how are you, how's the weather, want to be a distributor, maybe that's not the smoothest transition, right? So it's how we introduce our business into a social conversation. And number 4, we have to build rapport. Now, what is rapport? It's a French word. What does that mean here in Alberta? What does rapport mean? Connection?
Credibility.
Credibility? Trust? Bonded? Joined to the hip, Vulcan mind meld, blood brother, blood sister, total belief, trust, whatever, right? Are we kind of all on the same page with rapport? All right. So we also have to build rapport. So those are 4 things that would have to happen if we're going to do this as a business, right? Now, everybody write down these 4 things? I'm going to ask you to write them down again, but you've all met people, correct? I'd like you to write down these 4 things, but put them in proper chronological order. Which one to come first, which one you do second, which one you do third, which one you do fourth. Can you all do that very quickly? It's only 4 words. All right, everybody write them down? Now, if we don't even know what order these come in, would that be a sign? I mean, since there's only 4 things, this is our profession. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Lean over to the person on your right and on your left, take a look at their list, in front of you and back of you, and see if their list matches yours.
Don't have one. But I will do the same. Yeah. Do you have the same, Amanda? No.
All right. How'd that go? Let's do a survey. How many people here noticed that the people around you, some of their lists didn't match yours? What's that all about? We're all in the same profession, right? We all do the same thing, right? We don't even get the 4 things right. We don't even know what order they come in. And if your order is incorrect, do you think it's going to adversely affect your business? So would you like, just out of curiosity, would you like to know what order they come in? Yeah. All right. Number 1 is, of course,
Icebreaker. Yes.
I can see we're unanimous here. This is not going well. All right. Number 1 is rapport. I lost about half the people already. Now let me explain why. Icebreaker is pretty close to the front, but here's what rapport does. If you're not in rapport, if you're not walking hand in hand with them down the same direction, they're not going to believe you, right? They're not going to trust you. And you can have the most killer icebreaker phrase of all time, the greatest sales pitch ever, but if they don't believe you and trust you, it's not going to work. So the very first thing we have to do is establish a rapport with the prospect. Because if we're walking hand in hand down the same road with the same vision, there will never, ever be an objection. Now people ask me all the time, well, how do they handle objections? I said, well, you're asking me the wrong question. I mean, I can't even answer that. It's so weird. Because if you have rapport, there's no rejection, right? So why not just create rapport instead of worry about handling all stupid kind of objections you brought up because you didn't bother building rapport. Let me give you an example. I have BMW's half price out in the parking lot. Who wants to buy? Stop. How many people here have a little something going on in the back of your mind? What are you thinking? There's a kid, stolen. Because you didn't trust me, because there's no rapport, you won't take advantage of that deal. But half-price BMWs is an awesome deal, isn't it? Awesome. Which means you could have the greatest health product in the history of humanity. But if they didn't believe you or trust you, they're not going to do it. You could have a compensation plan that pays 350%. But they didn't trust you. How many people here realize that most of our relatives and friends, because we didn't build a proper rapport with them, just turned us off from day one? So number one thing we're going to do is build rapport. We'll go through this list and then we'll go back and start on this rapport building. Give you some really good skills on that. Number two, of course, is icebreaker. We have to introduce our business into the conversation in a socially acceptable way so they actually want to hear from us, right? We're not doing too good on this list. Let's do, what's number three? Closing. Okay. So number three is closing. We have to close the prospect. Some people here know this. And for those of you that don't, closing comes next. I got some looks here like it's a hemorrhoid convention. But closing comes next. We've got to learn these skills. You can't fake it anymore, okay? And number four would be the actual presentation. Now, before we go back to this rapport thing, is it okay if we talk about closing just briefly? Because I know it's in the back of a bunch of your minds. You're not even going to, you'll be thinking about this the whole time. Closing happens before the presentation. Do you think knowing that might help? Now, we're not here to talk about the closing skill tonight. But, let me put it this way. Could we just take a couple look at some things we don't know about closing? Just to point out that we don't know what we don't know. And what we don't know that we don't know is probably what's holding us back. So let's take a look at closing, how the human mind works. Your entire workspace is in the human mind, right? And so far, many of you have chosen not to learn anything about it. It's going to make it kind of difficult. So I'm going to ask your permission. Is it okay if I challenge your lifelong beliefs of how the human mind makes up its mind? And I'm going to ask you to take your head out of the sand, stop believing the Easter Bunny. Take a cold, hard look at how the human mind makes up its mind. And when you see this, you're not going to like this. It's disturbing. And we don't like changing our beliefs. But the reward will be massive amounts of money. Could you handle that? So are you all okay, even though it's going to be uncomfortable, for me to kind of show you what really goes on in the human mind? So let me give you just a couple facts about closing and how people make a decision that you might find unusual. Number one, the human mind makes the final decision based upon zero information. No information is used at any time in the human making decision. That's none. Sit. Nada. I don't know what none is in French. No information is ever used in making a decision in the human mind. How many people believe that, Robert? All right, it's tough, but let's do this. We're all adults. Let's suck it up. Let's take a look at real life. And all I'll do is I'll give you a case study saying you figure it out, okay? Don't take my word on it just because I'm a tall, dark, handsome Texan. Case study number one, you figure this out. How many people here would like to lose a little bit of weight? Okay. A few others should have raised their hand, but that's okay. Just kidding, just kidding. Let me tell you what us fat people. Us fat people got the information. We have brochures, CDs, DVDs, flip charts, PowerPoints, web presentations, weight loss clinics all up and down, TV shows have been lectured to and preached to all over the internet, newspapers. Every fat person in the universe got the information. And a skinny fat person in the universe, how do you lose weight? They're going to say two things. Number one is eat less food, and number two is exercise. Every fat person in the universe got the information. So if people made decisions on information, that would of course mean that you know fat people. But are there fat people? Well, you see fat people when you leave here tonight. You can see us from hundreds of meters away. So the very first thing you and I are going to do is train our minds. Over the next 2 weeks, every time we see a fat person, we're going to say this inside of our head. We're going to say, people don't make decisions on information. So pretend your partner's fat, so you don't have to pretend. Just turn it right now and say, people don't make decisions on information.
People don't make decisions on information. People don't make decisions on information.
All right. So, how many people now believe that the human mind makes the final decision based upon no information? Tough group. All right, case study number 2. I can hold out much longer than you. You take a look, you figure it out. Let's get personal. How many people here have information about your business? Do you have brochures? Books? CDs? DVDs? PowerPoint? Websites? Flip charts?
I show you.
Opportunity meetings? Testimonials? Research report? Third-party document? Okay. You all have information, right? Your prospects, when you do a presentation, see the same information, right? Now, if your prospects see the same information, and if prospects made decisions on information, that would, of course, mean that all the prospects would join, or none of the prospects would join, because they all see the same information. Is that what happens in real life? No. They all see the same information, yet some prospects join and some don't. Is that true?
Yeah.
So wouldn't it occur to us that maybe prospects are making their final decision on something other than information? It's getting disturbing, isn't it? So let me ask again. How many people now realize that the human mind makes the final decision based upon zero information? Okay. Whoa, this is tough. All right, case study number 3. How many people here have ever eaten at a restaurant? How many people made a decision to go in that restaurant before you even seen the menu? So you made the decision before information. How many people here ordered off a menu without knowing all the information about the stuff on the menu? Were these vegetables organically grown? Did the chicken have a happy life before they killed it? No. You made a decision without the information. Is that true? So let me ask again, how many people now believe that the human mind makes the final decision based upon zero information? You guys are tough. All right. Case study number 5. And remember, I can do this all night long. And this one you cannot deny, because we've got to get to the point here pretty quick. This one you can't deny. How many people here have ever sit down with a prospect? The moment you sit down, the prospect's leaning forward excited. Yet other times not leaning forward excited. What are they doing? Leaning back. Holding it, folding their arms, rolling their eyes, calling a lawyer. And you know from the moment you sit down, they've already made their final decision. What was their final decision? No. And you haven't even started your presentation or mentioned anything yet. So let me ask ask again. How many people here realize that the human mind is set up that it makes the final decision based upon zero information? So you're all in agreement or just tired of case studies? But unless we know this, we're going to be some amateur out there spending the rest of their life with 40-minute presentations, wondering why stuff ain't happening. So are we all on the same page? No information is ever used in the human making decision. By the way, how do you feel about your presentation right now? Would you like to learn something else about decisions?
Yes.
The human mind makes the final decision almost instantly before any information is even offered. We make our final decision before the presentation. How many people believe that one? Okay, let's go to work. Case study number 1. How many people here have ever seen a man channel surfing? Click, 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 click. How long did it take the man to make the final decision to watch that channel now? Before the presentation information. How many people here have ever watched videos on YouTube? How many seconds into the video before you make the final decision if you want to watch it or not? It's a few seconds, that's all. Before the presentation. So let's make this short and let's get real personal. How many people here have ever received a telephone call from a salesman? How many seconds into the salesman's presentation before you make your final decision? Less than 10 seconds, right? Now, is that fair? No, it's not fair. You haven't even heard the presentation yet. You've made your final decision. It's not fair, but it's what you and I do in real life. Now, if you and I make our final decision to a salesman, in the first few seconds before we've heard anything, if that's what we do to salespeople, you think other people would do that to us? What percentage of the time? 100%. Your prospect has made their final decision in the first few seconds that you've talked to them based upon zero information. This is disturbing. Get over it. It's just the way it is. I can't do anything about it. I don't like it. I don't like gravity either. It's just the way it is. But the final decision is made almost instantly. And I have plenty of case studies. Let's try this. Ladies, you know who you are. Ladies, have you ever, sometime in your lifetime, met a young man, made up your mind about that young man, where that young man might fit in your life, and made that decision within the first 30 seconds of meeting that young man? Now, men, is that fair? No, they haven't heard our presentation yet. So, ladies, if you're sitting next to a man, turn the man, look him in the eye, and say, that's how it works. People make decisions before they have the information. And if anybody still doubts it, get married. How many people here got married before you had all the information? So are we all on the same page? Why if people make the decision in the first few seconds, when would be a good time to close?
Right away.
Right away, right? The stupidest thing I've ever said in my career is at the end of a 40-minute presentation, turn to the prospect and say, by the way, what was your final decision 39 and a half minutes ago? That's only humorous to us here. Think about it. How many people now realize why closing comes number 3 before the presentation? Are we all comfortable with that? I want to clear that out of the way so we can get on to business here. Because if you're going to be sitting here thinking, oh no, the close come after a stupid presentation. No, it doesn't. It comes right away. So I don't know if that makes you uncomfortable or not, but you will have to give up your lifelong beliefs about when and how people make their decisions. But knowing that might give you a chance to make a huge amount of money and affect a whole bunch of people's lives. So are we ready to go to work?
Yes.
So let's start with number one, rapport. We got to work fast here because we've got to go through these four things, and we're going to get everything done in less than 17 seconds. How do you feel about that? Would that save you a little bit of time? Would that be more humane to your prospects? Wouldn't it be great if people were closed and made their final decision before they even came to the meeting? Wouldn't that be great? So why not do that? And the reason is we don't know how yet, but we're going to work. And this will change your life forever. So are you all ready? All right, let's start number one with rapport. The very first thing we have to do with rapport, if we don't have rapport, we're dead meat. It's over. If your brand new person came to you right now and said, give me 8 or 10 quick ways to build instant immediate rapport with people, how many people here could give them a list? Okay. Can we do like 4 or 5 quick ones to get started for tonight? We're not here to teach rapport skill, but we'll give you some easy ones to get started. The typical way, everybody still okay? We're going down this path.
Yes.
Nobody's uncomfortable any, all right. Because I didn't come here to make any enemies. I do that naturally on the side. So the typical way networkers try to build rapport is, number one, honesty. Number 2, integrity. Number 3, sincerity. Number 4, having people's best interest. Don't write these down, they don't work. But they try honesty, integrity, sincerity, having people's best interest at heart, and that does not build rapport.
Did you get all of them, Amanda?
Now, I didn't say be dishonest. I say don't use honesty to try to get rapport because it's the wrong thing. And I can see some people staring at me badly. What I'm saying, if you're trying to use honesty, integrity, sincerity, and people's best interest hard to build rapport, it's not going to work. It doesn't work. And let me prove it to you. Don't take my word on it. How many people here have been honest with your prospects? How many people here are of high integrity? Over half, right? How many people here are sincere? How many people here have your prospects' best interest in heart? And how many people here notice that your prospects don't believe or trust you? So don't take my word on it. You've lived it. You've proved it, right? These things don't work to build rapport. And you know this to be true because you try it every day. And people don't trust you or believe you, and they don't buy your product. So some of you are still skeptical. Let me give you a case study. How many people here know what a con man is?
What?
Con man. You have con men in Alberta? Texas, we don't have politicians. I don't know. Let's talk about con men. Are con men honest? Do they have high integrity? Are they sincere? Do they have people's best interests at heart? Yet
Yes.
con men are able to get honest, hardworking people hand over all their money in 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So we know those 4 things have nothing to do with it. Don't you think that possibly con men have a specific set of skills to build rapport and trust?
Yes.
Do you think we could learn them? Now, we can use them for good or evil. What are we going to use them for? Yeah, a little of both. All right, now, let's start learning exactly how this works. Now, the human mind is set up in a very specific way. You all have a conscious mind, right? You're using it right now. Your conscious mind can think and learn. How many thoughts can your conscious mind have at one time? One. You only have one conscious thought at a time. The reason it's set up this way is so you don't go crazy. If you had to think about everything, you'd go nuts. Oh, what? Look at the design on, oh, there's a bag over there. I heard a noise over there. I wonder what's happening outside. What's that aroma I'm smelling? Time for my heart to beat again. Maybe I should contract some muscles over here. You would go nuts. You can't handle that. So the conscious mind is set up to think and learn. If you're taking notes, the conscious mind can think and learn. Now, if your conscious mind can only have one thought at a time, what part of your brain has to do everything else? Subconscious mind. Now, your subconscious mind doesn't think. Your subconscious mind works on automatic programs. From the time we're born, we start creating programs that are automatic, that don't require thinking. For instance, we're born with the program fear of falling and fear of loud noises. We're born with that. Then we start developing programs like we learn to walk, right foot, then left foot. Pretty soon the subconscious mind picks up a pattern and says, from now on, whenever we're walking, right foot, then the left foot. And it doesn't mess up. You don't see people walking down the street, left foot, drag the right. So we have a specific program. When we start walking left foot, then the subconscious mind makes a decision to activate certain muscles and nerves to make the right foot come, right? Makes a decision for the left, et cetera, et cetera. So we accumulate tons of these programs, millions of these programs. So we go through life with a bunch of programs. You walk down the street, somebody smiles at you, you automatically. Subconscious mind says to the conscious mind, don't bother, forgetting what you're thinking about. Just keep thinking. We can handle it. We have an automatic program. Somebody smiles at us, we smile back. So the subconscious mind doesn't have to stop and say, oh man, they moved 13 muscles on this side, 13 muscles on this. What could it possibly mean? How do I respond? No. We have a program, don't we? Get on the elevator out here. Subconscious mind says, we've done this before. We have a program for that. There's a stranger on the elevator. Where do we stand?
Facing the doors.
Far away as possible, facing them. So we're not rude. It's called the elevator program. You have a program that's over 37 degrees, start sweating, under 0, start shivering. Oh, I'm sorry, Canada, under -50. You have a program, time for your heart to beat again, right? You have to think about it. You have to think about which muscles to activate, how much nerve energy for each one. No. Time to breathe again. Do you have to think about that as a program? In any one moment, you have to make probably 100,000 decisions just to keep your body alive. 30,000 new digestive enzymes over here, move this muscle, blink this eye. Your subconscious mind is set up with programs, and you and I are nothing more than a collection of programs going through life with brief moments of consciousness for entertainment purposes. How many people drove here tonight? Were you thinking about something when you're driving? So who drove your car? Your subconscious mind, it drove it on programs. Cross the center line, death is inconvenient, too far on the right, pick up a nail. You and I are nothing more than a collection of programs that we have accumulated up until this time in our life. Disactivating. Now, if your subconscious mind is making 100,000 automatic decisions every moment, with no thinking involved. Let me repeat that. If your subconscious mind is making 100,000 decisions for you every moment, with no thinking involved, what part of your mind do you think the decision-making part of the brain lies? Hint. Subconscious mind. All human decisions are made in the subconscious mind by pre-existing programs that are resident there. We don't have time to explain it all here tonight, but I'll just show you how quick that works. What are the political parties here in Canada? What are they called? You have a Labour,
Yeah.
Liberal,
Conservative.
NDP,
Progressive. Conservative.
and Conservative, Liberal,
NDP.
NDP. All right. So let me just say NDP. You might have a pre-existing program in your mind about NDP. By me saying that, you had an instant good feeling or bad feeling depending on the resident program. If If I say Edmonton, before any information is given, you've already made a decision, haven't you? Did you feel that? The way the human mind works, what I have time to explain tonight, is all of our decisions are based upon pre-existing programs in our mind of what we've accumulated up until this time. Get over it, it's just the way it is. So, how do we make the decision to trust somebody? How do we make the decision to believe somebody? How do we make a decision to be in rapport? Well, we have sophisticated programming in the back of our mind that does it automatically for us. And by the way, just so you don't think I'm talking out of line, there's research, you can look it up on the internet. They hire these scientists, gave them big bucks, they say, find out how the human mind makes decisions. They wired them up, tortured them a little bit, major brain waves. And the scientist said this: all decisions are made by the subconscious mind. No thinking involved. Thinking has nothing to do with it. And if you think thinking has anything to do with it, the conscious mind, here's an example. I think I'd like to diet. But I have a program called donuts. What do you think wins? Yeah. So any time that you spend giving information to the conscious mind is wasted. As far as the decision is concerned, it's totally wasted. Conscious mind thinks and learns, there's no decision in that. So all decisions are made automatically for us by our subconscious mind based upon pre-existing programs up until this time. But you can look at the research. But they measured it so closely that they even measured it to the second. They said the minimum amount of time between the time the subconscious mind makes a decision before it even notifies the conscious thinking part of our brain is 7 seconds. Measured to the second. And the only reason the subconscious mind doesn't tell the conscious mind for 7 seconds is busy doing 100,000 other things. So we'll let the stupid conscious mind know when we get around to it. So people make decisions on programs. If you don't believe this, I'll give you some more examples. But let's go to this rapport. What programs activate that rapport, which you need to have with people? One of the first programs is the subconscious mind looks and says, are you more like me than dislike me? I can trust and believe people who are more like me than dislike me. I'm more comfortable around people that are more like me than not like me. This is why we like people of the same ethnic background, the same religious background, the same political background, same sports teams, same brand of beer, same hobbies. We like people who are more like us than dislike us. If you don't believe me, try this. Go to China. 1 billion Chinese people around you. You meet somebody from Calgary. Instant bud. Total rapport. They are more like you than the 1 billion Chinese around you. We like people who are more like us than dislike us, because what they're looking for is, do you see the world from the same viewpoint I do? Because if you see the world from the same viewpoint I do, then you're, of course, going to make the same decisions. I can trust you. This is why a member of the Conservative Party speaks, and you remember the Conservative Party, you're going, yeah, you see the world from the same viewpoint. But if you're a member of the Liberal Party, you're going, from the moment they move their lips, what's happening? Skepticism, too good to be true, what's the catch? It's over. So the first thing is, are they more like me than dislike me? I did not know this when I got started, so I pointed out our differences when I talked to a prospect. So I'd say this, see if you can pick up the air. I say, you have a stupid job, I have this great business. Anybody see the error? They're sitting there saying, man, you know, you don't think like I do. You're a business person. I have a job. We don't think the same. I can't trust you. So we have to point out to them that we see the world the same way they do, or else there is no rapport. How are we going to do it? Simplest way. We're going to tell them one fact in the known universe that both they can agree upon and we can agree upon. By just simply tell them one fact in the known universe, they're going to say, hey, you see the world the same way I do. I can trust you. How cool is that? Would you like to see an example?
Yes.
How about this? jobs interfere with our week. Oh yeah, high five. Make the sound. Well, we don't want a bunch of chemicals in our home. Yeah. Losing weight is difficult. Oh man, and I'm big bone too. We all hate wrinkles. The economy's in the toilet. We all need an extra paycheck. Things are so expensive nowadays. Dying early is overrated. How we doing? How many people here could think of one fact in the known universe that you and your partner could agree upon? And if you start from that viewpoint, it instantly signals to them that they can listen to the cool stuff you say and believe you because you think the same way. So y'all ready? Turn to your partner and tell them one fact in the known universe that you and them could agree upon. Let's begin.
We use same products like I do. You don't like to sit at the aromatic day spa for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Now you have to tell me something. Vale, think fast. Mine's come back.
So, was that easy?
No. That's good. I like it.
Way number 2 to build rapport. Tell them another fact. And you'll put them in a deep hypnotic trance. Would you like to see how that would sound? We don't want to put chemicals in our children's mouth, and finding a natural toothpaste is hard to do. Or we all like to keep wrinkles away, and having our skin get younger while we sleep would be cool. The economy is in the toilet, and we all need more money. Losing weight is difficult, and we don't have time to exercise. Plus, I have a metabolism. Babies get colicky, and it's sure hard to sleep at night. Eczema is bad on baby skin, but we don't want to put steroid creams on them. Hay fever's miserable, but taking the drugs almost makes it worse. Grandchildren are little home wreckers, and we all need more energy when they come. Arthritis is painful. We would like to do something for it naturally. Growing old is painful. We need something for all those aches and pains. Commuting to work takes so much time, and we all would love to work out of our home. This ain't too hard, is it? Even Texans can do this. So y'all ready? Turn to your partner, tell them 2 facts in a row that you both can agree upon. You'll put them in a deep hypnotic trance where they say, you and I are joined at the hip, broken mind meld, blood brother, blood sister. We're in total rapport, walking down the street the same way. Y'all ready? Grab your partner, give it a whirl.
You know that you would like to make money like I do, and there's lots of chemicals, and you don't want to use them in your home, only in your body. Hey, come on. You have to use the other two. Well, maybe you would like to have an income when you stay at home one day if you have kids. Or you don't want to use any medication. Yeah, you would like to have an income if you can't work. And you can substitute Advil, cold effects, or something better than that. But cold effects really cost $60 at Costco.
Okay, how'd we do?
Good.
So if you were to start a conversation with somebody by telling them 2 facts, do you think you'd be in good shape? Because unless you have rapport, everything goes downhill. And out of those 4 things, rapport, icebreaker, closing, we all okay that closing comes first, right? And then presentation. How many people here see where it all goes wrong when a brand new distributor goes and jumps right away into the presentation? That's going to be ugly, isn't it? Now we understand why. Nobody tells us when we get started, but now we know. Con men, what do they say? You know, banks don't give you hardly any interest on your money. We all want bigger returns.
Yeah.
Way number 3 to create rapport. Oh, by the way, let me ask you this. How many people here ever took a sales course? Be a salesman? In sales course, they tell you to get rapport, there's an FORM formula.
Yeah.
How many people heard about the FORM thing? F stands for what? Family. So you're supposed to talk to them about an hour about their family and ask them a bunch of questions. So they say, why are you asking all these questions about my family? Then you go on to O, which is occupation, talk to another hour about their job or whatever, and they get bored, and talk to R is
Recreation.
and then talk to them about their hobbies and stuff for a while. And then, how many people here think, how long do we have to create rapport? A couple seconds, right? How many questions can you ask about their family in a couple seconds?
None.
How many people here feel this is bogus? Totally bogus. It's an example of somebody who drank a beer and wrote a book. And you've been out there, you've experienced it, you've been in real life, you know that this doesn't work. And we've been subjected to some really bad stuff where people just aren't even using any common sense. So if you ever pass on to somebody to use that FOR, just slap your hands, hit your head with a ball-peen hammer, give it up. It makes no sense at all, right? Because how quick does human mind make up their mind? You don't have time for endless questions. Let's do number 3. Third way to create rapport. Little babies, 3 months old, 5 months old, they can't talk yet. They look at an adult. How do they know which adult to trust? The adult does what? They smile. And the baby normally smiles back. It's a program. But a smile, and it's almost hardwired into our brain, that a smile means somebody's trustworthy and you can believe them. Now, I'm not going to say smiling will create instant rapport, but I will say this. If you go in with a serious presentation, just fall on the sword right away. Get it over with. You're dead. So what we're going to do is learn to smile. How many people here know how to smile? That's pretty tough. All right, the basic way of smiling is moving 13 muscles up on the right, 13 muscles on the left, show a slight amount of teeth. So we're going to give this a little practice here. What happens with a smile, you know, we'll explain this another day, but what happens with a smile, not only do you feel good inside, but it does something for the other person. Could you just accept that it does really cool things? We'll explain programs another time. I'm going to ask you to make your biggest, broadest, whitest Cheshire cat grin. I want you to turn to your partner and see what happens.
You don't smile.
many people noticed it was rejection free? There's some other good things that happen, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a fact, we're going to do another fact, and then we're going to smile. So let's try this. Losing weight is difficult, and we just don't have time to exercise. Instant rapport. Are you all ready? Turn to your partner, 2 facts and a smile. Let's begin.
Lose the weight is very Lose the weight is very hard, and we don't have time to exercise.
Alright, so if you're a dead serious red personality, going in there with a business presentation, no, smile, okay? It will really, really help. Number 4. Fourth way to build rapport. We'll do 2 more and then we'll take a break, okay? The 4th way to build rapport is there's 2 ways of getting people to believe you. Way number 1. Beat them up and browbeat them with facts, charts, testimonials, research reports, sampling, and at the end of 1 hour they go, okay, I believe you. The other way to get them to believe you is to take total iron-fisted control of their mind. If taking control of another person's mind bothers you, let me point out they're not using it, we can do a better job. But take total iron-fisted control of their mind and use a 4-word sequence to activate a specific program in their subconscious mind. And by the way, if you're not working the subconscious mind, you're not showing up for work. Is that true? Yeah. Are you tired? How many people here do know how to talk to the subconscious mind? All right, let's see. Our entire workplace is the subconscious mind. We don't know how to do it. Anybody here connecting the dots? What's the word for that in Canadian? Dysfunctional, delusional, hopeless. We have chosen a career where we have to talk to the subconscious mind. We don't know how to do it. Good, right? Wouldn't be a good time to start learning? Yeah, okay. So, does that give us a hint why we've been struggling? Because we've been talking to the conscious, stupid part of the mind that can't do anything. So, where were we? All right. So, the other way of getting people to believe things is use a 4-word sequence to activate a specific program in the subconscious mind that says, believe whatever I say next without question. Well, which way is more humane to your prospect? The 1 hour of browbeating, or just take control of their mind and command it and believe it? Which way would you prefer using? Now, for many people here who haven't started learning any of the skills yet, you're going to find it hard to believe that you can say a few words and people believe almost anything. And well, you know how that sounds almost unbelievable? Well, you know how if you don't even know how to do this, you're going to go home frustrated every night saying, why don't they believe me? And well, you know how if we don't learn the skills, we're going to be toast. And well, you know how most prospects are skeptical to begin with? Well, you know how we have to break through that with instant rapport? And well, you know how if I keep saying, well, you know how, you'll finally figure out that the 4 words are, well, you know how. That's right. When you say, well, you know how, the subconscious mind of the prospect says it's, well, if I already know how, then it must be true, because what I know is true. It's an idiot. But when you say, well, you know how, they will instantly believe whatever you say next without question, as long as it's reasonable. All right? Let me give you an example of reasonable. You might say to me, well, you know how you should share your donuts? Cross the line. As long as it's reasonable, it's 100% belief. Well, you know how it'd be a lot better if I gave you some examples?
Yeah.
Well, you know how we don't want to put chemicals in our children's mouth? Well, you know how we'd like to work out of our home? Well, you know how commuting is inconvenient? Well, you know how it'd be great if we had an extra paycheck? Well, you know how people want to live life more naturally? Well, you know how dying young is inconvenient? Well, you know how it's so hard to lose? How are we doing? How many people here feel the instant yes decision inside of your mind? Did you feel that? This is the type of skills we need to get the message inside of our head, inside of theirs, past all that minefield. Now, could you do a little experiment for me? Sure. I'm going to ask you to grab your partner, and you're only going to say 4 words, which are going to be, well, you know how. But when you say these words, I want you to feel inside how it feels that's rejection-free, doesn't sound like a salesman. Are you all ready? Turn to your partner, looking directly in the eye, and just say, well, you know how, those 4 words. Let's begin.
You know how. Now you know how.
Okay. Was that easy? Was that rejection-free? But number 3, how many people here notice when you turn to your partner and said, well, you know how, that your partner began nodding yes uncontrollably? The program in the human mind, and this is why you will want to learn programs, the program in the human mind says if anybody, anywhere, at any time ever says these 4 words, well, you know how, start nodding yes uncontrollably, believe whatever they say next without question, even though you don't even know what it's going to be. Number 4, how many people here notice that your partner was smiling? Because the program says if anybody, anywhere, anytime ever says these 4 words, well, you know how, start nodding yes uncontrollably, believe whatever they say next without question, and smile. It gets worse and worse. But here's the deal. I sit down with the prospect. From the moment I sit down, the prospect's leaning back, folding their arms, rolling their eyes, calling their lawyer. You can sit down with that same prospect and with 4 words, get that same prospect to lean forward, nodding yes uncontrollably, believing whatever you say next without question, and smiling. Would you use that skill? Yes. So turn to your partner right now and say, well, you know how, in front of a couple facts, just to see how it thinks. If you can't think what to say, just say to your partner, well, you know how it'd be better if you go first, all right?
How it yeah, we have to learn that, yeah. You know how it's easy to stay at home and not to go to work? You know how you don't want to use the audio at home?
Now, was that easy? Here is what we're going to do. Now, this is almost illegal, but we're going to do it. We're going to say, well, you know how. Tell them a fact. Well, you know how. Tell them another fact. And smile. Almost overkill. So let's see how that sounds. Well, you know how the economy's in the toilet? Well, you know how we all need an extra paycheck? Well, you know how we all hate to wrinkle? And well, you know how it'd be great if we make our skin younger while we sleep? You all ready? Grab your partner, 2 facts. Well, you know how in front of both of them, and smile at the end. Let's begin.
You know how the economy is not so good and sometimes we are so slow. You know how we don't like to use bad things on our skin. How we would like to earn more money. How the economy is bad and how we would like to earn more money. You know how sometimes I get sick and we get sick and we don't want to use that. You know how sometimes kids get sick and we can use something else? You know sometimes his dad's back hurts and you can use something else?
All right. Are we getting better at rapport?
A little bit.
How many people here realize our profession is just a set of skills like any other profession? Yeah. And here's my highly biased advice to y'all. learn the skills. All right. Now, if you're going to do it as a hobby, don't learn the skills. Enjoy it. Have a great time. You don't have to do this business as a profession. I don't diet as a profession. I do it as a hobby. There's nothing wrong with doing something as a hobby. Is that correct? And most of your downline is going to be doing it as a hobby. But if you're sitting here tonight and you're going to do this as a profession, learn the skills right away, get it over with, and make some progress, because you're denying a lot of people a chance to actually change their lives. Now, if you like to learn the skills, I'll give you a couple cool ways of doing it. Number one is trial and error. Oh, you tried that one. Okay, so, but that's how I learned over 40 years. And if you have the time, why not? When I got started, nobody knew anything. We were total idiots. For those you like to learn via while you drive your car, you know, I made the skills on a whole bunch of CDs a lot of people have been listening to, and that's a good way of doing it, right? You don't steal time from home or work. Or get your sponsor to learn them and invite your sponsor over for dinner. And I'll look at handcuff them to the table. Feed your sponsor for 3 months, learn the skills, but at some point, if you're going to do this as a business, you will have to learn, right?
Yes.
So my advice is learn any way you can, get it over with, and get rocking. Because there's a lot of people that need help. Now, we got 4 good ways to build a rapport, right? But we're not going to use any of those tonight, because we're going to do something else. Those are just a few extras on the side. Let's do something special tonight, because we need to do something special in 17 seconds, right? So I'm going to give you another way of building rapport, and it's going to solve another problem you may have. How many people here have ever seen somebody that would be good about the business, but you didn't know how to approach them, you didn't know what to say, afraid of rejection, maybe they're having a bad day. Has that ever happened to anybody here? So they're in front of you in the bank, and they're kind of grouchy, and you don't have anything in common with them. What do we do? And how much money do we make on that? We haven't done much for their life either, have we? So how many people here like to solve that? Because, well, you know how that's a big problem. Well, you know how if we solve it, a lot of our stress will go away. What I'm going to say is there is a forward sequence that you can use that will deactivate certain programs in a stranger's mind that will command them to be in instant rapport with you. How cool is that? Bond of the hip, Vulcan mind meld. They'll open up their heart, tell you anything you want, because you use these 4 words to unlock these different programs. How many people here think this is the kind of stuff that we might want to know if we're out there talking to people? I didn't even know there was a mind, much less a subconscious one when I started. So that's pretty ugly. So I'm just curious, how many people here would like to learn a 4-word sequence that would change your life forever? And I'm just curious, does that 4-word sequence open up people's hearts so they tell you anything you want? Would that make your job a lot easier?
Yes.
So I'm just curious, how many people here still want to do this business as a business? And I'm just curious, how many people here like to learn that 4-word sequence? I'm just curious, how many people here are tired of me saying,
I'm just curious.
I'm just curious. Y'all. I am just curious. Now, there's a strange thing when you say these words. The human mind says this: I'll open up my heart, tell you anything you want. Vulcan mind meld, join to the hip, blood brother, blood sister, high five. How weird is that? And all you did is, I am just curious. Now, I like this because I'm one of these shy green personalities, because you know that I've never talked to anybody ever on the phone. But I can say, I am just curious to the security guard out there who I don't know. Would you like to see how that would work? So to the security guard out there, I say, I'm just curious. Do you enjoy working evenings? I'm just curious, can you pick the hours you want? I'm just curious, is it hard being on your feet a lot? I'm just curious, is this a pretty good paying career? I'm just curious, there's a lot of advancement in this kind of way. I'm just curious, is this a job you always wanted in high school? Or not too far. But I'm just curious, can you be your own boss? I'm just curious, would you like to have more time with your family? I'm just curious, would you like to have a part-time income on the side? How are we doing? How many people here see how you can be in instant rapport, conversation with this person with just, I am just curious? It's magical. So I'm just curious, how many people here like to try this? I'm just curious, how many people realize we have to try everything while we're here? I'm just curious, how many people here still have a partner that'll still talk to you? So y'all ready? Turn to your partner and just try a simple, I am just curious question. Y'all ready? Let's begin.
I'm just curious if you would like to make more money.
Just kidding you.
I'm just curious if you would like to get rid of the bad stuff from pharmacy. I'm just curious if you would like to go on a free trip.
I'm just curious if you'd like an extra income.
I'm just curious if you would like to go on a free tree planting. I'm just curious.
I'm just curious, would you like to stay on your
How'd we do?
Great.
Now,
That wasn't bad.
I'm going to ask you to take a separate blank sheet of paper, totally separate, and write number 1, period, the number 1, period, and after it, write these 4 words. I am just curious. I am just curious. So you should have a total of 4 words on that piece of paper. Is that true?
Yes.
This is what we're going to use for our report builder tonight. Is it the best one? No. But it's the one we're going to use tonight. There's tons of these, right? We don't have time to go through the whole report building skill. But how many people here think already you're probably better at building rapport than 99% of every network marketer in the world? Most of them don't even know they're supposed to build rapport first. Can you see how you can crush the competition and achieve what you want and change people's lives almost instantly with just better skills and talking to them? You don't need new people in the room. They're all pre-sold. We just got to stop talking out of it, right? So, number 1, do we have rapport down good enough for tonight that we can do a decent job? All right, when we come back from break, we're going to do icebreaker, which will be very short. Closing, which will be even shorter because you already know a little bit about closing, how this works. And wait a minute. What's our job description? Get people to make a decision. So when we close on number 3,
We're done. Then we do it.
done. You can throw them a DVD. There's your presentation. But once you and I leave what's called information health, leave the data dump, we have a chance to get people to make a decision. Then once, now don't throw away your presentation. It's once they have made a decision, a yes decision, then we give them a presentation which will support the decision they made or be their first training session if they join. Does that make sense? So you're never giving a presentation and somebody who's not going to join. So when you give a presentation, you're going to be sitting at the same side of the table, but you just have it in the wrong order. You need to close first, so then it's all like we're walking down the street, no more objection. How many people feel pretty good about that? For the break, let me give you a tip or two. Number 1, all these words work better when you use them. So if you have the notes and you're going to take home, put next to your other good notes, miss the point. Number 2, how many people here get our tips every week? They're free. If you're not, go to bigalreport.com. They'll send you a bunch of cool stuff to say every week. Fair enough? Now, if you're too lazy to go there, you're going to be too lazy to use it, so it'll all work out. Big Al Report, BIGALREPORT. It's singular, not plural. I'm not that ambitious. So go to bigalreport.com and you can download some cool things. You're going to learn some more magic sequences because they're going to send you 7-miniature reports. We don't have time to go into tonight. But would you like to learn more cool stuff? It's a good place to start. And tell your downline to do it because they can afford that and see if they want to do it for a business or not. Third recommendation, if you're going to do it as a business, learn the skills and get pro about this in a hurry because life ain't forever. I could have said, well, you know how life ain't forever. See how we see this? If we only take a 5-minute break, that's 10 minutes in Canadian time. Is there any announcements, Ali, before break? All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's get right back to work, and we're going to do something magical, a high-level ninja trick that you won't believe. All right, see you right after break.